Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. I am Jen. This is Bookmark by Jen, and I am a little bit nervous for today's video. I've never done this type of video before for this very reason, because it makes me nervous. First of all, blanket statement. I have such respect for authors in general, and I have such respect for all the authors that we read as a romance community. What you do, what they do is nothing short of amazing, in my opinion. So to badmouth or talk negatively about any piece of work that they've done, it makes me nervous. I have the utmost respect for them. That being said, we are going to talk about my worst books of 2024, and I'm really not liking the word worst. These books I just didn't connect with for one reason or another, and we're going to get into that. Some of them frustrated me. Most of them frustrated me. Some I didn't understand. I didn't get. It was to me. And then, there is a lot. If you've been around, then you know Jennifer has major problems with female characters. I just have stupidity. Why do our heroines have to be so stupid sometimes? I'm just like think, just think. I'm currently reading something like that, where I want to wring necks. But in the same token, books are supposed to make you feel all the emotions, and that they do. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say here. This by no means is let's bash any author. That is not what we're doing. It is specifically just problems I've had with certain parts, certain characters, certain whatever, and we're going to get into that. But also, I oddly find these types of videos refreshing, because who wants somebody to come on here and just spew sunshine and flowers and roses all over the place all the time? There's going to be things that you don't like, and what is it you don't like? And then what are you going to do from there? So that's what that is. That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's get into these books. I think I flagged like 8 books throughout the year. That may or may not happen here. I don't know. We'll see what I come up with. We're going to get into this, but if you haven't watched my best of 2024, it is now live. I will leave it in the card and down below for you. These books are not in any particular order. Actually, that's wrong. They are in order. I'm going to go from how I read them in 2024, so just consecutively, because it's just easier. So let's do that. So, oh God, okay. So my first worst book of 2024 is The Fabric of Our Souls by K.M. Moranova. This was my first book by K.M. Moranova. This was our buddy read pick for May. And I do remember thinking, because I was reading the book and listening to it simultaneously, and I felt like the audiobook was a little bit better than reading. If I'm thinking correctly, it had multiple narrators. This is a dark romance. There is mental health representation in it. It is set in a mental hospital. But for this, I just didn't connect at all. I didn't connect with the characters. I didn't connect with the story. I didn't understand what was happening. Is this a dark romance? Is it a paranormal romance? Is it a sci-fi? What is going on? Is anything real in this world? The mental health rep, I didn't know what the author was trying to do, and if it was being represented correctly. My best way to describe it was just all over the place. I ended up giving it a 3 stars. We've talked about this. I need to do better at my ratings. I probably gave it a half a star or a star more of a pity. It wasn't for me. Again, the best way that I can say is it was all over the place. That being said, it was my first book by K.M. Moranova, but I don't want it to be my last. She just came out with a new book, and it is a military romance. It's called Leave Me Behind. It is a bit darker as well, and I'm really interested in that. I think I want to read that this year, so I'm going to give it another go. And I may be remembering a different book, but if I'm thinking of the same book, then I think that the ratings are all over the place on Goodreads and Amazon as well. So there's that. We're gonna move on. Oh my God, I'm getting hot. I'm sorry. Okay, my next one, I think that this was an arc. I think this was an arc. It's Mr. Almost by Cal O'Reilly. Was this an arc? I feel like it was. I'll have to go back. Anyway, I ended up giving this one 3 stars. Again, probably a 2-star. Like, probably should have been a 2-star. I really thought about DNFing this. I think I didn't DNF it because it was an arc. I may be completely wrong. Why do I want to say that this was an arc? Anyway, it was just so boring to me. The story was basically over at 30%. And like all of the conflict, all of the issues were done at 30%. And it was like we were struggling to find another conflict in the hero's mother, who was just out of control. But I mean, like, it was basically done. The story was done at 30%, and it was, I was bored. I was bored. So there's that. Can we move on? I don't know if I've talked about this before. So I have talked about how I never DNF'd before. It was, I think, in 2003 when I finally deemed myself okay to DNF a book, and that was hard. It was really hard to do. Like, I have to know what happened, even if I don't want to know. But I think, like, I've made myself read so many things over the years that have put me in reading slumps, and I think that's what happens. So I was like, we gotta stop this. Last year in 2024, I DNF'd like 4 books. So proud of myself, but I don't lose sleep over it at night. I don't. Anyway, if I DNF a book, I'm not going to rate it. I am not going to rate a book 1 star or half a star or however. I'm not going to rate it because I'm not giving it justice. I didn't finish it. I can't adequately give that a rating. I didn't like it, so there's that. But I don't feel comfortable rating it. So this is my first DNF of 2024. It is Mine to Keep by Sarah Fields. I DNF'd this. This is funny. I DNF'd it at 79%. 79%! We were there. We were at the home stretch, and I was done. What do I remember about this? Mafia. Oh. Okay. I remember. It was a mafia. It started out really good. Like, I was like, I'm really gonna like this. I feel like it was a pretty hefty age gap. She like enters in his like domain, like his restaurant area, and he just is very intrigued by her. He kind of takes her under his wing, but she is hiding out. But she doesn't realize that he is, like, she walked into the best person's restaurant that she could have. Like, he's gonna take care of her, and he like just immediately is like, she's mine. Like, upon seeing her 2 seconds is like, this little kitten is coming home with me. But here's the thing, I DNF'd it because even though the storyline was good and I was enjoying that part, there was too much spanking. I mean, once or twice, or talking, it's chapters and pages upon pages of spanking. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to. Do we really need 30-minute scene of spanking? I mean, like, it goes on, and she's like, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. And he goes, I know you won't, whatever he calls her, but we have to keep going. I just didn't think so. So it's 79%. I said, I'm done. And I DNF'd my first book of 2024. This is really bad because this is one of my, I really enjoy this author, but I had a hard time with this author this year. The Bonus by T.L. Swan. I gave this one some pity stars too because it's T.L. Swan. I just had a hard time liking whoever the chick was. Can't remember her name. I do remember his name was Gabriel. I even had a hard time liking him at times. It was just, they were so infuriating to me. They were so unlikable. They were just so, all of it, like the miscommunication, you guys, it's like such a pet peeve of mine, but it was not done. I couldn't with this book. It's a workplace romance. It's the kid aspect of it. Like, she ends up pregnant and she tries to tell him, and it's just, I couldn't. I couldn't with that one. It really, it disappointed me. It was TL's one. I wanted to love it. It really disappointed me. I'm like getting secondhand embarrassment for myself. There was a book I was really interested in reading. Really loved the first book. Did not realize until I finished this book that it is an actual trilogy because it left off on a cliffhanger. The second book starts off right where the first one ended. I'm going to tell you, I did not read this trilogy. I will not be reading this trilogy. It's gotten really good reviews on the platforms, but I couldn't. So the first book is called Stolen Soulmate. It's by Mary Catherine Gabbard. I hope that I'm saying that right. Really good. I gave this like 4 stars. It was really good. This is a bit of a bully. It is like different caste systems. He is drawn to her inexplicably. He is not supposed to want her. He wants somebody else who is in his own caste system, but there is a bit of mistaken identity, which that is in and of its own thing, but it was dark, so we're going to give him that. It is what it's called. It's called Stolen Soulmate. Anyway, these two are just, they can't get enough of each other. They're like magnets. And I really liked it, so I was like, okay, we got to move on to the next book, which is Forbidden Fate. Guess what I did with this one, you guys? I DNF'd this one. Here's the thing. So this is about Story and Grayson. She works for his family. His family is absolutely horrible. Like, his parents are absolutely horrible. His sister and siblings, whatever, they're okay. Some of them are okay. But I DNF'd it because it was all too much. The first book was good, but like, I feel like we could have put the entire trilogy, and I don't know what happens after, like, whatever percentage that I finished in the second one. I have no idea what happens in the third one. I'm assuming that, like, happily ever after at some point, but it could have all been wrapped up in book 1. Like, we start exactly where book 1 ended off, and it's just bad decisions upon bad decisions and miscommunication and just not trusting each other and listening to other people, and it's like a vicious cycle of the same thing happening over and over and over again. And instead of just like going away and being together, they just get more entangled in this huge mess. And I was just like, the same conversations were happening over and over again, and I was just done reading. Like, I was like, it's the same thing, you know? Honestly, like, I felt like I was in Groundhog Day. I was reading the same chapters over and over again, the same conversations. So I was just like, you know what? The first one was good, but I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this. And so we're going to move on to, oh my God, are the rest of them DNFs? Okay, this one I have had for a while on my Kindle. I purchased it. I was very excited about it. It was, right around the time that I read Praise by Sarah Kate, and I was really I was really into the BDSM world, is what I was trying to get to. That whole dominant sub, I was really interested in reading more of that. And I finally pulled out The Agreement by S.E. Lund. Here is another shining example of Jennifer wanting to wring our heroine's neck. I just don't understand what it is with these female MCs. Like, I don't understand. So this is between Drake and Kate, and let me tell you, like, Drake, I was really interested in him. I never even got to the sex scenes, you guys. Like, I didn't even, like, I'm embarrassed to say, but I never even got to the sex. I never even got into I never got to see how Drake was as a dom, and like, from the letters and like the snippets that I saw, like, he's going to be amazing. But I could not with Kate. So here's the thing. She comes from a very prominent family. Her father is a really well-known surgeon. Drake is a surgeon. She doesn't know him when it starts, but she reaches out to this female dom, and she's very interested in doing a piece about the dom-sub relationships. She reaches out to a female dom. You heard that, right? When the female dom gets her in contact with a dom that she knows that would take very good care of her, as far as showing her the ropes, not going into BDSM unless she wanted to, but to answer questions and kind of show her how that world works, and she realizes that it's Drake, she becomes like, she goes crazy. Not like really crazy, but she just, like, she flips a switch. She acts like somebody's pressuring her into getting into this world. She has an actual conversation with him outside of her apartment where other neighbors can hear, and he even says to her, can I just come inside so that nobody else is listening to this? Like, I'm not going to do anything. I would never force myself on anybody, but this is like ridiculous. She isn't, an adult. You know, what is she, 24, 20? She's an adult. You're acting like a 12-year-old. You are the one who wanted to know about this world, and now you're being completely prejudiced, which, by the way, somebody calls her Miss Bennett in this book, and it's like, okay, so is this a play off of Pride and Prejudice? But it's just, I don't know. I couldn't. And then the assumptions that she had about the BDSM world before she would even give herself time to, like, do you want to know or not? You said that you wanted to know about this world, but yet you are throwing out these prejudices. You're throwing out these views that you think are correct, and they're not. And I just couldn't. Every single one of these is, I just couldn't. Maybe this video should be called I Just Can't. But I am going to say this. If there was any book or any book that I DNF'd in 2024 that I was going to give another chance, it would be this book. I don't regret, because Kate was driving me up a wall. I wanted to punch her. But if I was going to give another chance to a book, it would be this one. And then I rolled right into my first ALC ever, which, if you don't know, is advanced listener copy instead of advanced reader copy. It is for audio, and I was really fortunate enough to get this book by Diana Hicks, another author I had never read before. It's called Wicked Night. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. Anyway, I DNF'd this book. Not because of the narration. I thought the narration was stellar, and I did put that in my notes to the PR company that I thought the narration was on point. I really liked the male character. He was very complex, but I ultimately DNF'd it because, you guessed it, the heroine. I wanted to strangle Kate. This girl, Donata was her name. It did not make any sense to me. So, from what I deduced, I did not get very far. I don't think that I made it 50%. Maybe 50%, but it was like on the cusp. I don't think that I did. But from what I could gather, so she's a liar. She will tell you that she is a liar. She's extremely immature and weak. But here's the kicker. So her aunt, in this society that they have, there are many different factions of the society, and each faction has their own don. And they all get together on like this Knights of the Round Table council where I don't know quite what it is, but basically it's this Knights of the Round Table. All the dons get together, and they vote on shit. It's like they're there to keep each other in check. So Donata's aunt is the female don of their faction, if you will. Donata has been groomed to become the don when her aunt steps down and or passes away. I'm gonna tell you, there is no way I believe for a moment that this bitch could be a mafia don. There is no way. She has no idea. If she was groomed, first of all, the fact that she does not like her surroundings, she has no idea what's going on around her. Anybody could do anything to her. The way that she acts, like, there's no way that she is going to be running anything or be powerful enough to make any man quiver in his boots. And then you get to Donata and the male character. I can't remember his name. So he is been told, and like basically is being blackmailed by his uncle to marry her because he wants like more power. But also Donata ruined this man's life, not the uncle but the male main character. I can't remember his name, and I don't care to look it up. Anyway, ruined his life and his reputation by lying when she was 15 and saying that he assaulted her when he didn't. In fact, she still has the V card. Here it is again. I could not. It was completely unbelievable. I have read enough mafia books, and you're telling me that she's gonna run shit? Nah, ma'am. No. I call bullshit. Bullshit. Okay. I think we are to my last one. This was, it was another one of our buddy reads for October, and it was my first and only romantic fantasy of the year. It was Embers in the Snow by Anna Carvin. I just couldn't. So there it is again. I DNF'd this at 36%. I tried. I mean, especially because it was a buddy read and I felt really bad that it was going to put me in so much of a slump. I was like, what is this? I mean, I was a fantasy girly. Like, that's how I got back into reading after so many years of not reading. I previously was like a psychological thriller and mystery girl. And then I went to fantasy and YA, because YA was mainly fantasy. And then I became, I wanted more of the romance. So it was just a logical jump to go to romance. You would think it would be a logical jump to just jump to romantic fantasy, but I think I was done with the fantasy world. So I was really excited to step back into the fantasy world, and I don't know what happened to this. It started out really good. I was really interested in what was going on. Our female character, Finley, she was really interesting. She was one of those meek characters that were supposed to be meek, but she had her own thoughts. And I couldn't pinpoint this. Was it supposed to be in our time, modern times, or was it supposed to be like in some modern times? But you know what? It gave me like A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger and what's her face in it, where it was set back in the olden days but had modern music and modern utilities and modern speaking out. Like, that's what it kind of reminded me of. But it was just, it took a nosedive, and it was, I don't know, I was not interested, and therefore I could not finish it. I just could not. And there you go. There you have my worst books of 2024, which is all to say, like, it was just, I didn't understand the plot lines. I didn't get it. I wasn't connecting with my characters. I wasn't connecting with the story as a whole. I just wasn't understanding. I didn't want to deal with any more of it, so they're on this list. But there it is. I did it. Like, I actually got through. I gave myself a little bit of secondhand embarrassment. I really was on the fence about making this, but again, I think it's refreshing to have these types of conversations. It's okay in this bookish community to have conversations around what we loved and what we ultimately didn't like. And I really enjoy differing opinions from people, because something that I liked, you might not like. Something that I just despise, you might be okay with. And certain authors do certain things that really irk me really well. But anyway, that is another story. I digress. You're going to have to let me know if there is any books in 2024 that made your sad face list. That's what we're going to call it. Instead of worst list, we're going to call it the sad face list. Definitely go check out my best of 2024 video. It is linked down below, and I'm going to catch you guys on my next video. But until next time, happy reading. Bye.